After his signing with the UFC, everyone is talking about Sharaputdin Magomedov, the Dagestan fighter blind in one eye who cannot keep himself out of controversy. But who is Sharaputdin Magomedov? He was born on May 16, 1994, and has a very interesting appearance. His red hair and long beard are already recognizable in the UFC. The 28-year-old also had a tragic accident with one of his eyes in 2018. He had to undergo surgery, which saw him lose 2 crucial years of his pro MMA career. Magomedov revealed that it took him a lot of motivation to come back to MMA. He also described the surgery and how horrific it was for him to endure that. Apparently, the doctors had to take his eye out of the socket and even anesthesia did not help him. Inside the octagon, however, Magomedov is a force of nature. It is no coincidence that the UFC wants him to debut against an opponent in the top rankings. He's undefeated, with a record of 11-0, and even if he has Dagestani lineage, Magomedov is not a typical wrestler. In fact, he is an extremely ferocious striker. Although it is unusual for fighters from Dagestan to use striking as their primary weapon, Magomedov is ferocious on his feet. His last fight lasted 8 seconds before he put his opponent away with a vicious knee. His arsenal of strikes has led to several brutal finishes by way of knees, leg kicks, elbows, and head kicks. Imagine pressing all the buttons on a controller at once, but it actually works. That's one way to describe Magomedov's fighting style. His diverse striking arsenal will see him put together a combination of hook kicks, knees, spinning attacks, and whatever else he can think of. Standing at a towering 6'2", he can fight from a far range, but is just as good up close. His clinch, equipped with many years of tight clinch fighting, is lethal. Throws, elbows, knees, and even head kicks will land from within it. Of course, his name is Magomedov. He can wrestle. Similar to a fighter like Justin Gaethje though, who is also a highly celebrated wrestler, he prefers to use his skills to stop and defend takedowns rather than initiating them. However, the Dagestani fighter has repeatedly been the protagonist of some controversy outside of the cage. He was seen on camera this year brutally knocking out a man and stomping on his head after they got into a scuffle over a public display of affection. The man was kissing a woman in front of Magomedov on an escalator in Dagestan. Sharaputdin waited until the party had reached the bottom to confront him. Words were exchanged and the men began swinging. Security and other civilians were able to separate them and escort each away, but it didn't end there. Magomedov waited for the man by an exit and brutally knocked him out with a punch before stomping on his head. Magomedov later gave a statement as to why he acted the way he did. He explained that the man broke the unwritten rules of Mahachkla. In another episode, he has come under the spotlight for an unsavory incident at the ADCC Bangkok grappling event against the Polish Jakub Bilko. A video shows Bilko locking up a heel hook on Magomedov, who then appears to tap out. However, once the hold is released, the UFC fighter reacts angrily, seemingly denying tapping before kicking the downed Bilko out of apparent frustration. It has been reported that Magomedov was subsequently disqualified from the event, although this has not been officially confirmed. The fighter is making headlines for both the right and the wrong reasons, creating inevitable expectations for his UFC debut. This should happen at UFC 294 in Abu Dhabi, maybe against the veteran Derek Brunson, fighter in the UFC middleweight top 15, although this has not been officialized yet. Magomedov seems to be on the right track to become the UFC's next villain. The question now is, will he be able to live up to the expectations and stay out of controversy outside of the octagon? Let us know in the comments.